June 1912. Villisca, Iowa. Think about it, a quiet, small town where people genuinely trusted each other. Doors weren't really locked.
That sense of security is key here. That Sunday night, the Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, their 4 kids, they all went to bed after church.
Right, and they had guests over. 2 neighbor girls, Ina and Lena Stillinger, were having a sleepover. Sounds like a perfectly normal, happy evening.
Exactly. But that peaceful facade, it shattered overnight. By dawn, every single person in that house, all 8 of them, were dead.
And not just dead, but bludgeoned with an axe while they slept.
And the chilling part, the killer didn't just commit the act and run, they stayed. They took the time to cover mirrors, draw curtains shut.
Lift a plate of food out too, uneaten, then just vanished. As quietly as they arrived.
Deeply unsettling.
Today we're digging into one of the most, baffling and truly chilling crimes in American history, the Villisca Axe murders.
It's a tragedy that goes beyond just the horrific loss of life. It left a mystery, a haunting question mark that's lingered for over 100 years now.
That central question, the one that just hangs over everything,
Exit.
it's almost unbelievable when you say it out loud.
How could 8 people be murdered right there in one small house without a single scream being reported, without anyone managing to escape?
It just doesn't seem possible.
And that profound, deafening silence. That's really what we need to explore today.
Okay, let's try to set the scene a bit more. Villisca, 1912. Like we said, idyllic almost. Picture it. Small streets, neighbors knew each other, kids playing outside. Very typical Midwestern town feel.
And the Moores were right in the thick of it. Josiah was a respected local businessman, the family was active in the community, churchgoers.
That Sunday evening, they'd just come back from a Children's Day program at their church. Spirits were high, apparently. The kids excited about the sleepover.
You can almost see it, can't you? Just a regular Sunday night, winding down, nothing out of the ordinary.
But then, sometime after midnight, the horror began.
And this is where it gets incredibly hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
We're talking about a small wooden house, not some huge soundproof mansion.
Right.
The violence involved, an axe-striking bone. You'd think the sound alone would be deafening, terrifying, let alone the commotion, the potential struggles.
You expect screaming, people running, something, especially with 6 children in the house.
Yet, nothing. The town slept, the neighbors heard nothing, and inside that house, silence. This brings us to a really disturbing psychological possibility, the freeze response.
Ah, right. Not fight or flight, but just freezing.
Exactly. In moments of sudden, overwhelming terror, like, say, waking up to an intruder in the dead of night, the body can just lock up. It's involuntary. The brain basically shuts down the impulse to move or scream.
So they might have been awake, but paralyzed by fear.
It's a potential explanation, a terrifying one, but it might account for that eerie lack of sound or struggle for many of the victims.
It's almost unimaginable, isn't it? Thinking about the killer moving from room to room, that sound echoing, and nobody escapes.
It really challenges our instinctual belief that we'd fight back or run.
Yeah, you always think, I'd do something. But maybe in that moment of pure terror, maybe you wouldn't, maybe you couldn't. It makes you put yourself there, doesn't it? Questioning how you'd react.
It absolutely does. Extreme fear bypasses logic sometimes. The body just reacts, or in this case, maybe fails to react in the way we'd expect.
So moving into the next morning, the horror comes to light. How did that happen?
It started around 7 a.m. A neighbor, Mary Peckham, noticed things were too quiet at the Moore house. No kids playing, no usual morning activity.
Just a stillness that felt wrong.
Precisely. It worried her enough that by 8 a.m. she called Josiah Moore's brother, Ross.
And Ross came over.
Yeah, he arrived pretty quickly. He found the front door locked, which was odd for the Moores, but he tried a side door, the kitchen door, and found it unlatched.
Oh man, so he went inside.
He did. And the first thing he saw, right there in the downstairs guest room, were the 2 Stillinger girls, Lena and Ina, lifeless, covered with a sheet.
God, that must have been
Horrific. Unimaginable. Ross, understandably shaken, didn't go further. He ran out immediately to get the town marshal, Hank Horton.
Okay, so they went back in together.
Yes. And that's when they discovered the full extent of the tragedy. Upstairs, in the master bedroom, Josiah and Sarah Moore. Same horrific scene.
And the children.
In the next room, all 4 of them. Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and little Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Also murdered in their beds.
All 8 people.
8 people,
It's-
just gone. From 2 years old up to 43 in one night.
It's staggering, and that question just keeps coming back louder now. How did nobody scream loud enough? How did nobody run? How did not one person survive?
It defines everything we think we know about self-preservation.
It does. But what happened after the discovery is almost equally staggering in a different, tragic way. It fundamentally crippled any chance of finding answers.
You mean the crime scene? Exactly. Within about an hour of Ross finding the girls, word spread like wildfire. And hundreds, literally hundreds of townspeople descended on the house.
Oh no.
They just swarmed the place. Shock, grief, morbid curiosity. Whatever the reason, they walked through every room, touched things, moved things.
So any potential evidence.
Trampled, destroyed, lost forever. Forensics in 1912 are basic, sure, but fingerprints, footprints, fibers, the positioning of objects, anything useful was almost certainly obliterated by the sheer number of people going through there.
It's like the town itself accidentally helped the killer cover their tracks.
In a way, yes. It's a devastating blow to the investigation right from the start. It makes you incredibly frustrated thinking about what might have been found if the scene had been secured.
Absolutely. A huge loss. Okay, setting aside the investigation chaos for a second, let's refocus on that core impossibility. 8 people, 1 house, silence.
How does it happen? How does no one fight back? No one run? No one scream?
Let's talk strategy, the killer's potential approach.
Well, one thought is, the killer might have started downstairs with the Stillinger sisters. Their room's location. Maybe it muffled the initial sounds just enough.
Allowing the killer to move upstairs without immediately alerting the Moores.
Possibly. And then there's the lack of defensive wounds. We mentioned it, but it's crucial. Almost none were found on any of the victims.
Which points to either being caught completely asleep,
or, back to that freeze response, being awake, but utterly paralyzed by terror. Remember, it's not just being scared. It can be a total neurological shutdown. The mind decides stillness is the only option, however futile it seems.
And this wasn't some wild, chaotic attack, was it? The evidence suggests something else.
No, not at all. This wasn't a panicked frenzy. It feels methodical, calculated, deliberate.
Which makes the actions after the murders even more disturbing.
Absolutely. The killer didn't just flee. They stayed. They took the time, as we said, to cover every mirror in the house with sheets, blankets, clothes. They drew all the window shades.
Why the mirrors? Any theories?
Several. Some think it's ritualistic. Others suggest the killer couldn't stand seeing the reflections of the victims, or maybe even their own reflection. Some psychological quirk. We don't know for sure.
What else did they do?
They used a kerosene lamp, which was found smoked up, suggesting it burned for a long time, maybe hours after they cut the power. There was a piece of raw bacon left near the axe, a plate of uneaten food on the table downstairs, and a bowl of bloody water, as if they tried to wash up. The axe itself was wiped down and left leaning against a wall, covered by a cloth.
So they were there for potentially hours after the murders, calmly arranging things.
It certainly seems that way. It paints this picture of a predator completely in control, moving through the house after the fact. And 8 victims who, whether through sleep or that paralyzing fear, offered no resistance.
It's like they were creating a scene. Mirrors covered, curtains drawn, that untouched food, almost like staging it, freezing the house in that moment of terror.
That lingering presence, the careful, almost ritualistic arrangement of things. It has another layer of deep unease. It speaks to a certain kind of mind, a coldness that's hard to comprehend.
And maybe that composure is why they got away with it, despite investigations, despite suspects.
Exactly. Which brings us to who might have done this. Because people definitely had theories, and the police certainly looked into several individuals.
Let's talk about them. Who are the main suspects?
Well, one of the most prominent early on was Frank F. Jones. He was a state senator, a big name locally, and crucially, he had bad blood with Josiah Moore.
A business rivalry.
Yes, quite a bitter one apparently. Over a farm implement dealership Josiah had worked at, then left to start his own competing business. There were public arguments, definite resentment. Jones was powerful.
Did they have evidence against him?
Not directly. He had an alibi for the night, though some questioned how solid it was. The theory was maybe he hired someone or perhaps snapped himself. But nothing concrete ever tied him to the crime scene.
Okay, who else?
Then there's Reverend George Kelly, a really strange case. He's a traveling preacher known for being, well, eccentric. And he showed an intense, almost obsessive interest in the murders. He was actually in Villisca around the time, even attended the Children's Day service the Moores were at. He later wrote letters to investigators, even confessed years later while being questioned for another offense.
He confessed. So case closed.
Not quite. His confession was problematic. He knew some details but got others wrong about the house layout or specific actions. His story changed. The authorities felt he might be mentally unstable, perhaps seeking notoriety. He went to trial but was acquitted.
Huh. Okay. Any other major contenders?
There was William Mansfield, nicknamed Blackie, and his potential connection is chilling because he was suspected in other very similar axe murders around the same time in different states.
Like a serial killer?
Potentially. The MO was eerily similar.
Yeah.
Axe, family annihilation, lingering at the scene, sometimes covering victims or mirrors. He was questioned specifically about Villisca. He also had an alibi. Claimed he was hundreds of miles away in Illinois, working. And he had payroll records and some witnesses apparently to back it up. Though reportedly, some witnesses later became hard to find or changed their stories. Again, no direct physical evidence linked him specifically to the Moore house.
So, Jones, Kelly, Mansfield. Compelling possibilities, but ultimately, nothing solid.
Nothing that led to a conviction. Despite decades of investigation, countless hours spent, numerous theories floated, nobody was ever held responsible for the Villisca axe murders.
The killer, whoever they were, just melted away, leaving behind those 8 bodies, a town forever scarred, and this huge, gaping mystery.
And that lack of closure, you can imagine the impact. For the families, for the community, it breeds suspicion, lets theories run wild for generations. It turns a place into a permanent memorial to an unsolved horror.
It's easy to think of ourselves, as people who would fight back, who would scream, who would find a way out. That's the narrative we prefer.
We do. But Villisca suggests something darker, doesn't it? That sometimes care can be so sudden, so absolute, that the survival instinct manifests not as fight or flight, but as stillness, utter immobility.
Children frozen, adults maybe paralyzed by horror, and the killer just walks through unchallenged. It's a deeply disturbing thought.
It truly is. It leaves you with this image of vulnerability and an enigma that chills you right to the core.
The Villisca axe murders really do remain one of America's most haunting unsolved cases. It forces you to confront things we'd rather not think about: the depths of human cruelty, the fragility of safety, the terrifying power of fear itself.
And that central question still echoes over a century later.
How could 8 people be killed so silently, so methodically, in one small house without a single trace of resistance? It's a question that invites you to keep thinking, long after this deep dive ends, about the nature of terror and the mysteries that sometimes refuse to be solved.